where you might want to take this. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little hover to this. So a hover to our buttons means that we're changing the state, we're changing the look of that button. So it means when you bring your mouse over one of those elements, it changes. So it can either simply change to a bold format, it can maybe show up with a little line. So I'm just going to quickly show you both ways. So generally you have, when you get into building up your UIs, you have an extra page that's called states. What states means is this is where all of your buttons are showing up and the different states they are, which means the regular state is what they look like here. Then you have a hover state and you have a click state, etc. So we build everything out here, and this is where we're going to really use our components. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to go to my design first. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab that nav. I'm going to Command C to copy, and I'm just going to plunk them over into states. So what I'm going to do now, let me just ungroup those, and I'm going to add these as components. So you can do it two ways. I'm going to go ahead and add that as a component, and you see right here it shows default state. If I hit this little plus sign, I get a little menu that comes up and it says hover state. So I'm just going to call this about hover. So this is where I can now change the look of this button on a hover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click into that. So when I'm actually clicking it, this is just the component, the whole button as a whole. But if I double click, I can actually get into the actual text. So double click until we see that text show up. So I'm just going to simply change that to bold. And now we click away. So now I can go default state, hover state, default hover. Now we literally press play. Oopsies. And that's it. So now we're adding a little bit of an effect to that. We can do the same. So again, we're going to click here, portfolio. We're going to make that a component now. That's our default state. Again, we can name our things. Always get used to naming things. It's just going to help you later. Click that plus sign. We want a hover state. Portfolio hover. And again, I'm going to double click until I get actually into that text. I'm going to go ahead and change that to bold. There we go, default state, hover state, default, okay? And essentially now all you need to do is bring that in there. Beautiful, eh? Nice and easy. I'm going to show you one more little quick trick on this of what you can do. So say, for instance, I'm just going to go ahead and delete these suckers. Say we want to have like a little line. This already has it. Say we want to have a line that shows up when it hovers, or a little dot, something like that. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to build that on its final look, but then we just essentially make it disappear. So I'm going to add a little line. I'm going to make it, just for the sake of it, let's go 2. Actually, I'm going to make it white. Or no, I'm going to make it, I'll make it this color. So if this is my basic state, I don't want the line to show up on a default state. So I'm actually just going to turn that border off. I'm going to take those two elements, drag and click, and I'm going to Command G to group them. And then I'm going to add that as a component. Now the same thing, now it's a component. Now I'm going to hit that plus sign to go a hover state, about hover. So now my about hover, say for instance, I want this to be bold. And now I want that border to show up. So now when we click this, we can see default, it doesn't have it. Hover, it does. Press play. Oops. Make sure you leave it on the default state. And then again, guys, those are all now saved. And you just go, once you have everything set up, it's just good to have everything in your, on one page where you could build them out, and then you can just drag and drop. Okay. Abby is exhausted today. Or I am so flippin' boring.
No, it's good. I just did not have a lot of sleep. This is actually very interesting.
I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Last night I was actually wide awake and I was reading my daughter a book, and I legit could not get through like a sentence without a giant yawn. Once you start,
Yeah.
you can't stop.
That was me.
So folks, that is, let's see. That's comping from XD. So again, I'm not asking the world from you guys. We're just doing that navigation. Saying that, you also need to make sure it's not just your homepage. If you have a multiple page website, not just your homepage needs to be able to navigate. You have to navigate through all of the pages. So again, you get your first page. Once you continue on to your other page, you have to just go ahead and you need to relink all of those pages, because when I go and check your prototypes, and if I get into the about page and now none of those link, that's wrong now. So you need to make sure that it's not just the home. When I say navigation, that means navigation throughout. Again, that's just desktop. I'm not making you do mobile, because mobile gets into a whole other ball game of perhaps a sliding menu that's coming out. Again, I don't want to go into the depths of things, and you guys can attempt that if you would like to go into the UX UI stream. Again, it's not difficult. It's literally just grabbing those arms and linking to new areas.